My husband won't let me take more than 2 showers a week. I told him I need him to stop or I'm moving out for a while. This is the weirdest thing my husband has ever done. He really is a sweet and loving husband, and I love him more than anything. Divorce is not an option, just to put that out there before the comments come in. My husband has always been a little out there. He is a computer programmer and super smart, but also believes all sorts of things. Both real and conspiracy. Lately he has been very worried about the environment and global warming. About 2 months ago he got real worried about water. Yes, water. He is concerned about the quality of water. He put in a new filter system in our house, which I actually love because it tastes so much better. But he is also concerned about how much water we use. Not because of money, but the environment. He created a new rule that we can only take 2 showers a week. Now I'm someone that likes to shower every day before bed. I just don't like feeling dirty in bed. This has created the most conflict in our marriage in 20 years. He is obsessed with the amount of water we use. At first I just ignored his rule, but he would shut off the hot water while I was in the shower. I started trying to use the shower at the gym, but it's too much work to go every night with having kids. I honestly thought he would get over this within a month. But he is stuck on this still to this day. Last night I really wanted a shower, but had hit my quota, as he says. I said I'm showering and that he better not do anything. But about 2 minutes in, the hot water turned off. I grabbed my towel and went down and started yelling. Telling him this is the dumbest thing he has ever done. I also told him I'm moving to my parents if he doesn't stop this. Guys, I love this man. He is everything to me, but I can't take this anymore. Am I going too far in threatening to move out? How about the kids? Can they shower daily? No, but it's 2 boys. 12 and 14. They wouldn't shower at all if I didn't force them to. Having 2 preteens shower twice a week at most is borderline bioterrorism on your household and their school TBH. Also, if you're all just not showering, don't the bedsheets get dirty way faster, thus needing more water to wash them? Or are you going to bed in last night's sweaty unshowered bedsheets? As a pretty active person, I'd legitimately lose sleep over having to sleep unshowered in unwashed sheets. It's making me shudder just thinking about it, lol. Greater than having 2 preteens shower twice a week at most is borderline bioterrorism on your household and their school TBH. The way my jaw hit the floor when I read she has a teen boy and an almost teen boy, and they're only showering twice a week. How can she even enter their rooms? My brother is autistic, and growing up my mom had to force him to shower at least every other day, and I couldn't stand to be within 5 feet of him for more than 15 minutes at a time, lol. Bioterrorism is right. And this is UCH a rough age too. You don't want them to get bullied as the stinky kid or have them be shunned for dating because of it either. This was my first thought. Her sons are going to get bullied and the school's going to start calling home. This is borderline abusive on hubby's part. As a teacher, I can tell you this does happen. I would have students email me from their Chromebooks during class asking to be moved away from the smelly kids. No one wants to work with them. Uncomfortable conversations have to be had. Referrals have to be made to counselors and social workers on campus. It's really setting yourself up for a whole lot of questions surrounding neglect. Woman shrugging, medium light skin tone. As someone who also works in education, parad, I can confirm this. It's a question of, is this neglect, or does this child just refuse to shower? I showered twice a day growing up and I still smelled like a donkey booty hole 24/7. Sometimes it just be like that person shrugging. Signed, a former adolescent man boy. But did you properly shower, soaping all over and washing your hair and pits, groin? Then did you also brush your teeth and put deodorant on? Genuinely curious, because I am sort of the belief that a lot of people think they're clean when they're not. I half-assed everything as a teen, if that answers your question. I work in foster care. That's definitely the thought that crosses our minds. If it helps at all, kids are almost always honest in acknowledging that they should be showering regularly, but they don't do it unless their mom makes them. So it's kinda just open and shut, zero consequences. Kid just learned the lie of omission, that's fine. I truly can't understand these parents that put targets on their kids' backs because they want to do outlandish shit. It's like they totally forget what middle and high school are like and leave their children to suffer needlessly. Right? I didn't shower one time before basketball practice once and they let me have it. And I was a relatively popular guy, well liked, but they roasted my ass for weeks. Imagine these kids maybe aren't too social and now their high school is defined by them smelling bad because their dad's a wackadoo. Look, I know climate change and water resources are a growing problem, but what help is he really contributing? It's incredible how one person's fear-mongering can traumatize an entire family. Sincerely hope that OP ceases with the enabling of this nonsense. My college actually had signs up in corridors and classrooms telling people to wash themselves and/or use deodorant, as it was getting extremely antisocial with the smells coming from certain classrooms. Sadly, it was mainly, but not only, the IT classrooms. Personally, I can't start my day without a shower in the morning. Poor kids. Maybe they could be allowed showers in the gym locker rooms. Wow, I work in education in California, community outreach liaison. They would never even consider this neglect here because there's so much more severe neglect happening that they can't even address due to lack of manpower and foster parents. Don't get me wrong, I agree with you, but CPS would laugh in our faces over a kid showering being neglect. We have tons of homeless families without running water. Tons. Damn, that's so sad. Honestly, kids emailing a teacher is so much nicer than what would have went on at my school. Which I'm not bragging about my generation being something special. It would have been someone raising their hand saying, "Dave smells like open ass," and embarrassing the poor kid. Kids are fucking ruthless. You can't do this to your kids, life is hard enough. It is abusive. Not borderline, actual abuse. And grounds enough for Child Protective Services and social workers to start getting involved. Absolutely. I just commented above, these kinds of calls home are some of the hardest of my career. Given the influence of their father, it's likely they were getting bullied way before smiling like ass and onions. Seems like straight-up abuse to me. In my book, turning off the hot water while she's in the shower crosses that border. Stating your preference and making a request is one thing. Making a wacky choice for yourself is your right to do. Creating consequences for not getting your way is skating on thin ice. But taking away someone else's bodily autonomy is abuse. Turning off the hot water may be passive-aggressive, but he's still making the choice for his wife about whether she can clean herself or not. He's making a unilateral parenting decision about their shared children. I wouldn't up and divorce him immediately, but this situation definitely warrants counseling to learn why he feels he has this right to control others and how to stop it. And I don't think it's overreacting for the wife and kids to stay somewhere else until he gets over whatever is going on with him. Op could benefit from therapy herself to find out why she loves this man with all her heart when it's clearly not reciprocated in a healthy way with respect for her boundaries. This goes beyond a personality quirk or oddball personal interest. Yes, bullying. Worried about that. Better yet, let's see what her hubby does when the school turns them into CPS for not allowing the kids to take showers. Pretty difficult to get your kids back once CPS steps in. Kids are cruel enough as is, don't make school even harder. Everybody always remembers the smelly kid. There is no borderline about it, this is child abuse, and if she stays she is complicit. I don't know why, divorce is not an option. But when your children are being abused, you set yourself on fire if you have to, metaphorically or literally. My brother is 23 and autistic. His teen years were awful trying to make him shower. It hasn't suddenly become perfect in his 20s, but now he has a customer-facing job. While school won't kick you out for smelling bad, the workforce certainly will. I used to tell my grandson with autism he had to shower because he doesn't want to be the smelly kid at school. It worked. At 21, he still says he has to shower 'cause he doesn't want to be the smelly young adult. Those kids are getting picked on so bad it isn't even funny. She needs to put her foot down and tell her jerk of a husband to knock this crap off or they will lose their kids. If they are going to school funky and uncared for, a teacher or counselor, or someone downwind, is going to call CPS on them for child neglect. If the husband isn't willing to stop being an idiot, she will need to leave him. If nothing else, for the sake of her children. Yeah, this would not fly at the training school I serve for disabled kids. They cannot go to their job sites if their hygiene is not up to par. It's a life skill. I would get so oily as a teen that I often needed to shower twice a day, morning and night. I'm so glad I don't have to deal with that anymore. I felt gross constantly. Poor kids, think of the things that bother you today. Your kids are just like you. Something in your teeth? You smell bad? Don't let your kids feel the pain. If you're obese, same thing. If it pains you, prevent your kids from suffering. It's also borderline child abuse. I know it seems silly, but as a mandatory reporter we can and are required to report children not bathing regularly. If your kids start looking too dirty at school too often, you may have someone show up to your house. Boys absolutely have to shower every day. Have to. Okay, you clearly need to hear some tough things at this point. You are neglecting your children. You are allowing your husband to neglect your children. 14 and 12-year-old boys need to shower more than twice a week. You're going to cause your kids to be made fun of and ostracized if you keep this shit up. Stand up for your kids at the very least. Enough is enough. Right? My son and his friends as teens all needed to shower twice a day. They played, rode bikes, had gym classes, etc. The husband's behavior is not okay. Doesn't matter if he's neurodivergent or not. My teens shower daily and their rooms still smell terrible much of the time. Deleted. They'll end up with acne and painful skin conditions and wonder why. Plus IDK about boys, but as a teen girl who could only shower very infrequently, the ensuing bladder, UTI, kidney infections as a result caused lasting damage. Probably homeschooled so. Yep, husband is a controlling piece of crap. As a teacher of first graders who get stinky quick, I'm over here like, they're poor teachers and classmates who have to smell it all day. There's also a 0% chance they're not being bullied over it. That's disgusting. Why are you putting up with this and doing this to your kids? I have kids the same age and they have to shower daily or else they'd smell horrific. I can't believe that you send them to school like that. Your poor kids. Facts anything for the man, including dirty teen boys going to school stank and bringing back germs. Lice, who knows? I'm shocked the post was about her worshipping this man and her showers and not one comment about the kids. Editing, cuz I know Liv prefer cleaner hair, but I mentioned it because if you aren't bathing and checking and washing our child clothes very often they could bring home lice, the flu, chicken pox, who knows. But I'ma let the lice debate under here commence. Lol. Lice aren't manifested through unwashed hair. You still have to catch them. And being dirty doesn't increase your chances of catching them. The other parts are right though. Yucky boys are yucky. Lice prefer clean hair. Yup. Got 'em twice as a kid and I washed my hair daily at the time. Anecdotally, they don't seem to like bleached hair. My older sister and I shared a bed and she never got them. You're going to catch a CPS case. A teacher is going to report to CPS about this if they smell too much. I'm a teacher and I probably would have already called. My students are first graders, so twice a week is even towing the line for them. Emo. Yup. Mandated reporters have to call CPS if children don't have regular access to a shower, bath. That makes it even worse. Your teens are in puberty and teenagers smell worse than little kids because the apocrine glands don't activate until puberty. So the body odor of your sons is going to be disgusting, especially because they'll now have armpit hair. Your husband should know this. Those boys should actually be showering or bathing *** every day. But at a minimum, they should shower every 2 days. That should be non-negotiable. Your kids are going to be the smelly kids, who everyone avoids. You remember the smelly kids in school, right? Or maybe you were one of them? Right? This is fodder for severe bullying of their kids. We had an entire grade-wide lecture in 6th grade about how deodorant was not a substitute for showering. Apparently the teachers could take it no longer. Blessedly for the people it was directed towards, I'm leaning towards the boys playing football and not showering after. But all 12-year-olds get stinky without showers. It was done as a talk addressed to everyone. OP's kids are going to get it face to face from their classmates. Our school did something similar. We had a field trip to the local high school and used their track for a bunch of competitions, all in good fun. By the end, the teacher leading it gave every single person a stick of deodorant and asked them to use it. Then after about 30 seconds they said something like, "See how that deodorant didn't fix the smell even when we're outside in the wind? That's why you need showers," and it stuck really fucking well with me, lol. I already love showering, but I still remember it 15 years later. WTF, op? YTA for allowing your sons to live in this insanity. But he's such a nice guy. Wait, so you don't care that your kids are only allowed to shower twice per week because they are boys? Sounds like you and your husband are both the problem. This is nasty. Your kids deserve parents who care about their hygiene. IDK how op didn't snap. Children's well-being in your household should be a #1 priority, and the fact she didn't make that a huge deal with him and instead came to Reddit. Wait, almost forgot where I am. Makes sense. Because she's a doormat. I know the smells and hygiene concerns are being discussed, but there is getting to the actual problem. It's mental. Anything can be carried to an extreme. I don't know their actual situation, but adding a water filter to help with quality sounds plausible, and is something I think most would generally regard as reasonable. Not being excessive with water usage is also reasonable. However, this is an extreme restriction, and it shows that there are likely some mental issues going on. The husband works in IT, and is probably on the internet a fair amount. I can easily see going down a few rabbit holes as a result. Usually besides a few non-productive hours, there isn't much harm. However, this is a very real case of harm starting to happen. I'd recommend talking to a compulsion therapist, and both the husband and wife should go. If they feel the kids should go, fine, but start soon please. I've had family members take compulsions too far, and it had dire consequences on them and their children. There's a chance to head this off, but it has to start soon. If those boys are going to school constantly and not being forced to shower in gym class or sports, and they constantly show up dirty to school, trust me, the health department will come down on your family in a heartbeat. That would be a really messed up way of proving that point. Even if family services would be involved for a moment. The other is to ask if it is a 10-minute shower or less, or is there a luxury aspect of a 30-minute shower, etc. Lastly, there is a way to justify it is the use of gray water systems for what you do use a house. That can go towards yard and garden. If he's really put in a whole house filtration system, which is an investment, the non-use of gray water seems rather incomplete in his big scheme of things. External water barrels to receive the gray water from shower and laundry should go elsewhere. For instance, using it to go back to the toilets as well as watering the yard, garden, and having a planted front yard instead of grass. Get his middle-aged but oot in the front yard and convert it to a water-retaining productive earth space. Greater than get his middle-aged but out in the front yard and convert it to a water-retaining productive earth space. And after he comes in all sweaty, don't let him shower if he's used his quota for the week. Good idea. We use water from rain chains and barrels to water flowers and ferns. My 12-year-olds walk to and from school, do PE, their core standard line dancing shenanigans, recess, pick up games of baseball after school, chores, and that's not even touching on organized extracurricular sports. That's just their basic everyday bacteria-inducing life. I fear y'all have become nose blind to how bad each of you smells. That's what I'm thinking, they've become nose blind. It also sounds more cheap than saving the planet. That's absolutely disgusting and borderline abuse. Come on, you are underreacting, here. I agree with you, put our anuses together. This is a problem, op. Have you prepared your children for when they start getting ridiculed and losing friends because of their poor hygiene? If they grow up like this as the standard, do you think they will find a long-term partner who will tolerate this? This is disgusting behavior from your husband. Ecologist here. I work in some parts of the world that have been hit very hard by climate change and associated drought. What your husband is doing is not scientific, sanitary, or particularly sane. People in places much drier than where you live, people who have practiced highly conscientious water use for decades, still practice better hygiene than your husband is allowing. Your teens may be against showering, but you should be teaching them to be clean. You and your husband can take short, tear conserving showers daily, save water and still be clean and comfortable. The amount of water saved beyond that, by not showering at all, is beyond trivial, and the cost to your mental health is absolutely not worth it. Anyway, this isn't about water conservation, because your husband is having no impact whatsoever on water issues. This about obsessive and controlling behavior. You love him and you won't leave him, but whether you move out or not, you should insist he see a therapist right off. Your boys will grow up being the smelly kids if this keeps up. 12 and 14, they need to be showering daily. I'm serious, they will eventually get bullied over this. No way anyone in this family was showering daily to begin with. Face vomiting. Your husband is interfering with his children's basic hygiene needs, and that is abuse. Goddamn, some women on Reddit are wild. Sweet and amazing guy, never even think of divorce. Oh, by the way, he forbids our kids from showering. That joke post about a woman wanting to stay together with her amazing true love husband despite him murdering and dismembering her parents are depressingly close to reality. This was yesterday. Woman had a glowing description of her partner, but he broke her arm shaking her because he thought she was cheating. He saw the neighbor's car and his own work boots and went fucking ballistic. She tried to say he's like the greatest dude on earth. Then she described his actions for many years and people were just horrified. Society really has done women dirty if they think this is normal or okay. I promise you that your kids fucking stink and everyone at school knows about it. I knew a kid with a dad like your husband and you could smell him when he walked in the room. He got bullied hard. Don't let that happen. That's child neglect. I was the dirty kid at school and I wish my parents had loved me enough to force me to shower. They are going through puberty, people will notice and avoid them. Quit complying with your husband's mental illness, it won't make things better. He needs treatment, you need a spine. Ew, so B has 2 teens smelling like armpit for school? This is child abuse. He needs to sort his shit out because nobody should be suffering for his delusions. Those kids start to stink the moment they dry off. Father of 4 boys who take daily showers. Move those 2 into your bed with your demented husband for the second night after their last shower. Close windows, turn off fans, add blankets. Not being allowed to shower daily is a mandatory call to DHS for any mandated reporter, just FYI. People that stink are not accepted in modern society. Your sons will have difficulty making friends and in adult life they will have difficulty acquiring and sustaining jobs, if you teach them that it is for the greater good to be smelly and dirty. They will also go unmarried with poor hygiene. The use of water does not contribute to global warming or the climate at all. This is all fossil fuels. Tell your husband that water is a renewable resource and that desalination of the oceans will occur before a single society on Earth starts dying of thirst. He is being absurd. Where does your husband think the water goes after the shower? Into space? It is obviously reintroduced to the water supply. Cities that regulate water usage do so to keep the cost down for the poor, not because y'all gonna run out of it. BTWI shower like twice a week too, so I am not just some clean freak ranting. What an absolute load of crap. Can I contact your parents? Because you shouldn't have kids. You need to tell stubborn teenagers to shower on a daily basis to get them in there 2x a week anyway. All things considered, this is about control. You are not overthinking or overreacting. Huh. I was a teenage boy once. I showered every day because I didn't want to smell badly. I certainly didn't need my mom and dad to force me. Odd. You're way underreacting. It's a little disturbing you're not taking this more seriously given there's children involved. Sorry, but no. By allowing this, you are setting awful standards for your children. Hygiene is especially important for this age group. You're also teaching them that the husband controls everything and everyone, including water. If you continue to allow this controlling behavior, YTA. Are you being cheerful about borderline child abuse? You understand the water isn't the issue. You're leaving children with someone in a fit of paranoia who can't make reasonable decisions that affect people's well-being. So funny. Lol, I love this man boot. This isn't normal. He's going to snap. As a teacher of 12-year-olds, this is awful. Classrooms are usually pretty crowded and I'm sure everybody can smell your child. This is not okay. Being a boy doesn't mean they get to be unhygienic. That's an unfair gender stereotype. Your boys should be learning proper hygiene. In my state, TN, the amount of people who would call CPS about it, this type of behavior might shock you. Withholding showers, aka basic hygiene, could be seen as cruelty. Be careful who you speak to about this in real life. Be a fucking mother and don't let that continue. Jesus Christ. Your husband needs to have some tests run. Wait until your husband finds out about MRSA, and how your boys may be susceptible and bringing back antibiotic-resistant germs back and forth from school. For ammunition, I suggest this book https://marinmckenna.com/books/superbug/. I know everyone is post-pandemic weary, but if I were you, I would fight fire with fire. I would escalate his fear factor and let him know it's okay to be afraid of germs too and not just environmental toxins in the water. People need to bathe regularly for personal sanitary reasons, public health reasons, and just plain old social politeness to avoid ostracism and divorce. Girl, this is the absolute limit for me. I don't comment on these, but I have a 13-year-old boy who doesn't even do sports or anything right now. Just sleeping makes him stink so bad. If he doesn't shower every day, his teachers ask me if something came up this morning. You need to draw a hard line here. This is your family's health. If your husband wants to make changes to help the environment, then he can do that with his own water consumption, but he cannot stop other humans from basic hygiene. Nay, actions. Do not engage in arguments. Move past him. Turn the water on. Don't even tell him it's happening. Schedule him an appointment with a therapist if you feel so inclined so he can argue with them and they can tell him how stupid he is. He doesn't make unilateral decisions for the whole house, so stop acting like he does. If he can turn the water off, then you can turn it back on. It is one lever somewhere in the basement. Grow a backbone and get it done. So your husband would rather your kids get made fun of and have no friends because they're stinky than use water? Sounds like a shit father TBH. And don't even try to say they don't stink. Teenage boys stink even when they do shower. This just sounds odd and controlling. I'm also curious why stepping away from the relationship isn't an option. I wouldn't be okay with someone controlling me or my kids like this. This is categorically unacceptable from your husband. Love him or not, he's being an insane control freak. Turning off the water mid-shower is fucking abusive and we're absolutely in divorce territory. Restricting children's ability to participate in basic hygiene is illegal. If a teacher gets a whiff, pun intended, of what's happening, they're legally obligated to report it to the police and child services. If you just go along with this, the authorities aren't going to see you as a fellow victim. I want to be clear, what your husband is going is domestic abuse and it isn't your fault. Maybe hearing that will shake some sense into him, but I'm not too sure. Please be careful if you sit him down and make any kind of ultimatums, because this is erratic and unpredictable behavior. Jesus, that's more fucked up than not letting you take daily showers, and you seem fine with it? WTF, lady. Teaching good hygiene to your children is your job, and even more so your husband's. Teenagers in puberty without proper hygiene will smell awful, can develop acne and other health problems, and will end up social outcasts. What an awful thing to do to your children. Sounds abusive. I don't understand when people say this. I have boys and they know about good hygiene. People always say, well, they're boys, so I can't get them to shower, ha ha ha. Like, WTF? Good hygiene is good hygiene. That's a failure on the parents. I work at a school and our administration met with the kids telling them they need to shower daily due to sweating, going through puberty, etc. Missing one day sporadically is okay, but adolescents need to do daily hygiene. At the bare minimum, in my opinion, every other day, unless you worked out or were outside getting hot and dirty. There are ticks everywhere these days and Lyme disease is no joke. Put your foot down and tell him you're taking a shower when you want. He needs an MRI like so. One else said. To me this is abusive and you shouldn't leave. He should. Hey, has your husband been checked out for OCD? This kind of paranoia and rule following to avoid disaster could be evidence of a mental illness he might be suffering from. I think professional evaluation is needed. Not sure if anyone else has thrown this out there yet, but could there be something going on with your husband from a mental standpoint? If his current behavior seems odd for him, perhaps it could be worth getting him checked out. I've read stories where one person has an undiagnosed mental health condition or tumors. Could this be something he may benefit from seeing a therapist? I think 2 showers a week is not enough. NTA. Until he changes his position, I will be running 3 sacrificial showers for 15 minutes each, 45 minutes total, in my home every day until he changes his dumbass mind. Either way, that water is getting used. Also, I'm concerned he doesn't understand how our closed water system works. Literally, the water runs from your supply line to the shower, to the drain, to the sewer, to water treatment, and back to your water supply line. Seriously, your husband is penny wise and pound foolish. Have you thought of checking with a neuropsychologist? We all know this is unusual behavior. What we all may not know is that it may be pointing to some health problem like a type of dementia, latent paranoid, or unusual perseverating. It could be something simpler, but it could be complicated. I would recommend you start looking there. Call their office and run some of the behaviors by them to see what they suggest. I had no idea what was wrong with my husband for 10 years until we went to a neuropsychologist. Ma'am, respectfully, none of this is healthy or acceptable. Your husband needs to seek therapy for his sake and your family's. Showering is a basic human right. Take something away from him so he knows what it feels like. OMG, I raised boys, and you are raising the stinky kids at school. They will be harassed. That's the worst age to not take care of yourself. Plus, they're never going to learn to take care of themselves if they don't practice as teens. Teacher here. If your boys were in my class, I would be calling CPS on you and your husband. This is neglect. Divorce isn't an option? I hope you enjoy having your kids taken from you. You either need to get your husband into therapy, or divorce. These are your options. Don't be stupid, op. There you go. You get the kiddos extra 4 per week. And everyone is happy tears of joy. Kidding. It sounds like a mild mental health concern. I wouldn't move out to teach him a lesson, especially with kids involved. That's not a healthy response to have or demonstrate for your boys. A healthy response would be to get you both into therapy to explore this situation together, heal, and move on. Greater than I wouldn't move out to teach him a lesson. Maybe not to teach him a lesson. But I'd, absolutely, move out so I could get a fecking shower in peace. Your kids will be bullied. Talk to your husband about that. So they're the smelly boys at school that will end up bullied? Teen boys stink if they don't shower. This is getting worse the more I read. Take it as a guy who only showered weekly until I was 14, they're going to get bullied if they aren't already. They're definitely the smelly kids in school. Do they also eat ketchup for dinner? At what point are you expecting the school to call you in for a meeting because they are concerned about your kids' hygiene? Or are you anticipating it will just start with a concerned email? They need to be showering daily. Teenage boys sweat a lot. They will stink and it won't be pleasant for the kids or teachers around them. Also, there's so many germs in schools. You want them to shower as much as they want and wash their hands frequently. But it's 2 boys. So, do you want the smelly kids in school? 'Cause this is how you get them. This situation is really concerning. People will notice that your kids are dirty and unwashed at school, and when they stink, worse than they already would at their age, they will be isolated and bullied. I was a middle school teacher, and I had to talk to many kids about being kind to their shit-smelling classmates, and if it turned out they just weren't allowed to shower, I would have made a CPS call. That's what a mandated reporter does. It's creepy. You should be reacting harder. I'm a teacher and I need to tell you that they will be the smelly kid, and that stigma never goes away. Even if they don't smell, which they almost certainly do, if word gets out about their 2 showers a week, they will suffer greatly. Look at what you've typed here. Like, really look at it. Having you only shower twice a week, while not cool, is one thing as you are both adults. Forcing the children to go to school dirty and smelly almost every day is actually abuse. You need to start thinking about the mental and physical well-being of your children because this is not okay. I'm not going to advocate for you to do something nuclear, but it is absolutely not okay in any world to force your kids to only clean themselves twice a week, even if you say you have to force them. I mean, lady, first off, you should be concerned about CPS because boys that age might not want to shower, but they need to shower, and this is bordering on neglect. Secondly, be prepared for how this impacts their social life. I can guarantee you that those boys stink if they're only showering twice a week, and other kids will absolutely take that opportunity to make fun of them and bully them. The fact that they're boys doesn't make it any better. Like, just because they don't have a vagina does not make poor hygiene better for boys. If you didn't have children, I'd say that you should try to find some type of compromise with your husband. But you have children who, at least at this point, only have one parent who is mentally healthy enough to look out for them. That person is you. You have an obligation to your children to put their needs first above your husband's mental health crisis. This is a terrible environment for them, and it's your duty to improve that environment for them. Even if it means separating from your husband. This is so shitty to send your boys to school dirty. You should honestly feel really upset that you haven't put your foot down to protect your kids. Maybe talk to him about whether there are other, better ways to improve water usage in the house besides restricting showers. Low-flow, high-pressure shower heads reduce the amount of water per shower by 40%, and the increased pressure improves the experience. Tell him to put his engineering mind on how to reduce water waste in the home and in the community, e.g. gray water systems, etc., and run for the local water board, if he's really obsessed with this. He's not wrong that we need to reduce water waste, but it seems like he's picking a specific place to set rules that impact you adversely, but doesn't really make a dent in the bigger problem. All right. You're gonna be known as the stinky family. Hope you're into that. Just so you know, everyone at their school knows they smell awful. No one is going to say anything to them about it, because politeness, but deep down people probably think your kids are gross, and that reflects on you as a parent as well, unfortunately. If anything, it is even more important for them to shower daily. As a former 14-year-old boy, are they showering at school after gym class? If he is super smart as you say, explain to him how little water you use on showers compared to the overall usage in your state per day. Tell him you agree not to waste water and you will try to limit shower time, but that you are not going to sacrifice a few gallons a week that will affect your sanity when the golf course down the street will use 1000x your yearly usage during that same week. Those poor boys, I hope they aren't getting picked on too much. Families can go Jose blind to it, but the kids that shower definitely aren't. I have kids exactly their ages. They need to shower more than twice a week. Mine do every other day. If they don't, they will smell bad, get breakouts and be tormented by their peers. I've made some household changes for the environment too, but none that will impact my kids' happiness. There are a lot of environmental things you can do. He's going to have to let this one slide. Start composting, install rain barrels, do some zero waste swaps. Hell, use gray water to flush. No 12 and 14 yo boys must be showering daily, OMG. This is actually pretty sad that you would allow someone to stop two young boys from showering. Are they the stinky kids in school? At 14, boys start liking girls and spend more time on themselves. Why are you choosing to deal with this over your kids and their needs? Regardless of if they want to shower or not, you should make them. I couldn't imagine allowing anyone telling me when I can shower or do anything for that, and I've been married for 20 years. He sounds mental. You may need some mental assistance as well. Why can't you shower when he's at work? A 14-year-old boy that only showers twice a week at most? Oh boy. That's child abuse, WTF. I can smell this post. Who in their right mind doesn't have teenage boys shower at least daily? I showered 1 to 2 times a day at that age. Bro, if I didn't shower every day during high school, I would have been even less confident and more of a wreck. Greasy hair even after 1 day of not showering. Bows because of growing boy acne. What the fuck are you doing to your kids? Your husband is dumb. Make him face the facts, or do something drastic so he has to. You literally have to make him choose you or water lol. Or get him to a professional. I'm more worried about the kids now. Oh, I get it. Your husband is mentally ill, but you are too. I feel bad for your kids. That is literally the worst possible demographic for reduced showers. Preteen boys absolutely need daily showers. That's a health issue at that point. Yeah, that is an issue. They will literally be the smelly kids at school, and the administration can and will get involved if it's necessary. Even if it's forced, they need proper hygiene every day. I mean, if your husband isn't completely off his rocker and is a rational individual, I'd have to ask him why he feels he personally gets to dictate your showering, regardless of water use. What gives him the right to deprive you of the hygiene you desire, and your children need? If he wants to do his part, that fine, but he doesn't get to tell you are going to, without question. Your children need to bathe more frequently. I can smell my teenagers if they don't shower every day. Your husband needs to see his doctor about a possible brain injury or something. Someone is going to call CPS for this before long. If you don't want to lose your kids too, you'll need to establish that you weren't going along with this insanity. It will happen. If I knew who you were, I'd be calling right now. I'm a mandated reporter, I take it seriously, and most of us do. What he is doing is abuse. What you are doing is abuse. Time to tell your idiot husband to pull his head out of his ass before your kids' teachers call social services for your stinky, filthy kids. Fucking gross. This is straight up assault. He can set that limit for himself if he wants, but he does not get to demand the same of you, nor physically punish you, turning off the hot water, if you fail to comply with his demands. And teenage boys definitely need to shower more than twice a week. I personally only need to shower 2 or 3 times a week. I live in a very dry climate, so anything more than that makes my skin crack, no matter how much lotion I put on or how well I hydrate. But when I was living somewhere humid? At least daily showers. Sometimes twice daily, especially in summer. Regardless, I get to decide how often I bathe. Not my husband. Unless there's a reason why we need to limit water, like when we were having problems with our septic tank, it's none of his business. Your husband can take whatever steps he wants for himself to save the planet, but he doesn't get to impose that on anyone else. Your husband is downright a lunatic. Divorce him. There's nobody in this world who will keep me from showering daily. I really hope you are not serious about the boys not showering daily. That's disgusting considering they likely have school PE or sports. If there is a concern regarding hygiene, I have seen schools report this. Why the hell would you put up with this? This is beyond controlling, and to say divorce isn't on the table? What's next? Limited food? Limited AC? YTA to yourself and your kids. It is really concerning that he is paranoid and controlling about water all of a sudden. Has there been any major changes in his life or anything? This is a really great point. I'm curious how old he is and if any changes in health, career, responsibilities, etc. have happened. MRI time. Exactly what I was thinking. He might have a brain tumor. Nah, I would put money on ADHD, autist. She said he's always been weird and gets hyperfixated. I can control my hyperfixations, it sounds like he cannot. That is still really concerning, especially since his hyperfixation is causing him to limit access to water. They need to figure about what is going on and how to address it. It seems like he might have extreme anxiety about climate change, so he should see a medical professional about it. Or start getting involved with more protest groups. While he's out protesting, can take a damned shower. Everyone is happy. It seems to me the reason he is not protesting is due to it requiring increased water usage for hydration. Both. Sounds closer to OCD or something OCD adjacent. That's what I thought, too. My husband has OCD tendencies and anxiety, and I try to remind him when he starts to get too fixated on something. And he tends to fixate in things that are good in moderation, cleanliness, healthy habits, air quality, etc., but he can take them too far, just like OP's husband. I used to just think he had quirks, but they got worse. With a diagnosis, I can say, look, hun. Is this truly an issue, or is this OCD, anxiety taking over? That doesn't immediately change the behavior or make him feel better, of course, but it has given us a framework for how to think and talk about his actions, especially when they start to affect other people's lives. He's done an awesome job of being able to recognize his own skewed thought processes and try to head them off early. I'm proud of him. This feels so on the money. I wonder if OP's husband would allow himself to be diagnosed and/or treated. Love this, it helped my wife to be more forgiving as well. I can get so frustrated over things that don't really matter long term, but in the moment I can't see past it. It is really bad when I'm under a lot of pressure. I was diagnosed with OCD, and suddenly it went from my wife being frustrated to her managing and helping to develop better coping mechanisms for me. And sometimes, just letting me be obsessive about something. Like a project or a task that I just really want to be right. Which we do together, and I love her for it. OCD, autism and ADHD are often existing together. They all have elements of hyperfixation and anxiety, which is why it's so important people don't armchair diagnose on the internet. He definitely should talk to someone. I always thought my hyperfixations were due to my anxiety. But once my therapist suggested an OCD component and we changed the approach to incorporate that, it made a huge difference in how I manage my anxiety. Wow, maybe I need to go talk to someone too. I have hyperfixation issues very often and am racked with anxiety about 70% of the day. I just thought it was me and the stress of my job and stress about life in general. Maybe it's not as normal as I thought. There's suspicion that OCD is under the autism umbrella. Same with ADHD. I have all three. They often all run comorbid. Especially if he has a history of anxiety. I developed OCD in college in correlation to my anxiety. OCD, ADHD, and ASD are all comorbidas. It's not uncommon, actually, it's fairly common in fact, to have a combination. I'm clinically OCD about cleanliness and whatever task I'm working on, but that's about the extent. I get hyper-fixated on it along with whatever I'm trying to fix until it's complete. More likely OCD. He's hyper-focusing on this now, but it sounds like this isn't the first time he's exhibited this behavior, just about something different than the water. LMAO, such a Reddit diagnosis. Must be a DHD, autism, everytime lol. Yeah, there's a lot of similar symptoms among mental disorders and developmental disabilities. It's why we should say go to a psychiatrist. They'll push him to do therapy alongside any meds he takes. Why would you do that? A Redditor already said it's a DHD or autism, case closed, s. I got concerned about the water when I learned about PFAS and got an under-the-sink RO system to get rid of them in my drinking water. Granted, I still take a shower every day, though I am considering a whole home water filter system. Seriously, I would be concerned about a sudden decline in mental stability like this. It doesn't sound sudden to me. Greater than, my husband has always been a little out there. He is a computer programmer and super smart, but also believes all sorts of things. Both real and conspiracy. This mirrors the common pattern of treating conspiracy thinking like it's a cute quirk, until it becomes serious. Here are some more quotes, all found with only a brief skim of the subreddit for people whose family went QAnon. It's gone from a mad hobby I ignored to a real pink elephant in our relata. On ship. At first he mostly kept things along the lines of aliens and their bases on the moon. He would send me links and sometimes I'd look out of curiosity and finally I would ignore them. It was all pretty harmless, until he started talking to his family and friends a lot about random topics like Bigfoot, aliens, chemtrails, the moon landing being fake, the pyramids, etc. I would get annoyed by it, but it wasn't a huge deal yet. Then shit completely hit the fan. Absolutely. The one couple I knew that went full QAnon started with the funny conspiracies like Bigfoot, aliens, etc., moved on to chemtrails and 2A stuff and ended up blocking anyone on social media who disagreed with the crazier stuff they started posting. The wife had always been less into it than the husband until she experienced a TBI, and that's when they both spiraled out of control. Funny you mention the TBI. They've been causally linked to religiosity as well. It seems like brain damage causes magical thinking in general. Agreed. Similar thing happened to a former friend of mine. I tried to say something but no one took it seriously. He ended up getting in a shootout with the police and almost dying. He went from a little quirky to batshit crazy in a matter of weeks. Yeah. I'm curious how old they are. If he's in his 20s or early 30s, I'd think about getting him evaluated for schizophrenia. Thank you for existing. I kept scrolling and giggling through the top comments while thinking in the back of my mind, are we really just going to ignore this poor guy's mental illness? She says he's always been like this about one thing or another. She's probably written it off as quirkiness until it directly affected her. To be fair to her, it was quirky, fun, non-consequential things until this happened. Right. This is a crazy shift in behavior that needs to be addressed. Something is going on with this guy. Exactly. I feel for her, this is going to be a tough battle. Right, this is 100% a mental illness. I hope he agrees to get help. It's not sudden, she said he's always been a little out there. This just sounds like this particular way of him being weird is affecting her adversely, so that's why she's complaining about it.